Hey guys, I'm Cheesex for Fun here with a new EDH deck tech. It's Talrand, the Sky Summoner. This is a Chinese foil. So what Talrand actually says is, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you get a 2/2 Flying Drake, which is these puppies right here. So the deck is pretty much revolved around instants and sorceries. And yeah, she costs 4 to come out, 2/2. He costs 4 to come out, sorry. We'll go over the lands first. We have 25 islands, I think. Maybe 26. We have 27 islands, actually. So 27 islands. First non-basic is Celphid Coliseum. You add 1 blue mana to your mana pool, it deals 1 damage to you. And it has Threshold. You pay a blue, tap it, sacrifice it. Target player draws 3 cards and then discards 3 cards. Activate this ability only if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard. Seat of the Synod. It's artifact land. I don't run Trinket Mage. You don't need to run this. I just thought I have like 6 of them, so I figured I'd just throw one in anyway. Fairy Conclave. Actually. Okay, Fairy Conclave comes into play tapped, add 1 blue, and then you tap it, add 1 blue mana to your mana pool, and you pay 2, it becomes a 2/1 fairy creature with flying. It still counts as a land until end of turn. Buseju, who shelters all. It enters the battlefield tapped. You pay 2 life, add a colorless to your mana pool. If that mana would be spent to cast an instant or sorcery, it can't be countered by spells or abilities. Vesuva. I'm playing Vesuva in a monocolored deck just as another form of strip mine for legendary lands. Or if I want to copy one of my special lands, like copying Temple of the False God's never bad. But Reliquary Tower. I'm looking for the promo of this. If you have any for trade, let me know. Yeah. Temple of the False God. Add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. Activate it if you control 5 or more lands. So I mean, it's pretty good. That's it for lands. There's 35 lands total, I believe. Anyways, now we're moving on to creatures. We only have about 6 or 7 creatures in this deck. We have Spellskite to protect Talrand. Snapcaster to buy back any important instant or sorcery. Phantasmal Image, just a general killer. Or I can copy, like, Consecrated Sphinx or something. Grand Architect. Now, you're probably wondering why I have this in here, but, if you read his ability, tap an untapped blue creature you control, add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool, spend this mana to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. Okay, that's actually not really that good in here. So yeah, never mind. I didn't read. Solemn Simulacrum. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land, put it into battlefield tab, then shuffle your library. When it dies, you draw a card. Phyrexian Metamorph, just another general killer. It's pretty much blue's lacking in removal, so lacking in strong removal. Consecrated Sphinx, obviously, whenever an opponent draws a card, you draw 2. Then we'll move on to artifacts. We have Icegron Scepter. We can copy many instants or sorceries in this deck. This is the only proxy in the deck. No. This is one of the 2 proxies in the deck, sorry. It's Bosium Strip. Now, it's a 3-drop artifact. You pay 3. If the top card of your graveyard is an instant or sorcery, it gains flashback, pretty much. you pay its mana cost, and then you exile it. And that effect goes until the end of turn. So it doesn't end right there with one instant or sorcery. Coat of Arms, when you're making a million drakes, it's really good. Meekstone. So what Meekstone does is any creature with power greater than 2 may not be untapped as normal during their untap step. I put this in there because my friend plays Kozilek, and he would destroy me. Nevinyrral's Disc, it comes into play tapped, and you pay 1, tap it, destroy all creatures, enchantments, and artifacts, including Nevinyrral's Disc itself. Mindlock Orb. I don't run a lot of tutor. I run 1 tutor in here, I believe. Because I have draw power, I don't need tutors. So I stop other people from tutoring or fetch landing or doing anything like that. It's really good. We have Lightning Greaves to protect Talrand. That's the only reason it's in here. We have Runechanter's Pike. Just hit things. It's really nothing else needs to be said. Soul Ring. Tap, add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. Mind Stone. Costs 2 to come out, and you tap it, add 1 mana to your mana pool, and you pay 1, sacrifice it, draw a card. Gilded Lotus, add 3 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. Extraplanar Lens, when it comes into play, remove a land you control from the game. Whenever a land with the same name as the imprinted card is tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 mana of his or her mana, 1 mana to his or her mana pool of any type that land produced. Cage Sun, just a mana doubler for yourself, and it gives my creatures +1/+1, because I always name blue. And now onto the Instants or Sorceries, which is the backbone of the deck, and if you notice, most of the deck is Instant or Sorcery. These are the bounce. This is the bounce package. Vapor Snag, return a creature, they lose a life. Unsummon, return a creature. Snap, return a creature, and then untap 2 lands. Peel from Reality, return a creature you control and a creature you don't control to their owner's hands. Cyclonic Rift, return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand, and you pay 7 to return all of their stuff. Boomerang, return target permanent to its owner's hand. Capsize, return target permanent to its owner's hand, with buyback for 3. Spin into Myth isn't really bounce, but I put it in here just because. Put the creature on top of its own. Put target creature on top of its owner's library, then Fate Seal 2. So you look at the top 2 cards of an opponent's library, then put any number of them on the bottom. So pretty much you put their general on top and then Fate Seal it to the bottom. We have Devastation Tide and Evacuation for our board wipes per se. They return creatures. Evacuation returns all creatures, and Devastation Tide returns all non-land permanents. Our counter package, we have Counterspell, obviously. Arcane Denial, Counterspell, they draw 2 cards, I draw a card. Remove Soul, counter a creature. Negate, counter target non-creature spell. Hinder, counter target spell and put it on top or bottom. Spell Crumple, counter it, counter target spell, put it on the bottom, and then put Spell Crumple on the bottom. Fairy Trickery, counter target non-fairy spell. If it's countered this way, remove it from the game instead of putting it into the graveyard. Dissipate, counter a spell, exile it, just like Fairy Trickery. Rewind, counter a spell, and untap 4 lands, so it's a free spell, pretty much. Foil, discard an island, and another card from your hand instead of paying foil's mana cost. It's not really that bad to counter a spell. Okay, now the deck manipulation package. We have Brainstorm, draw 3 cards, and put 2 cards from your hand on the top of their library in any order. On top of your library in any order. Ponder, look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. You may shuffle your library. And after you choose whether to rearrange or shuffle, then you draw a card. Preordain, scry 2, then draw a card. It's pretty good. Glytaxian Probe, look at their hand and draw a card. You can pay 2 life instead of a blue for this. Mindspring, Draw X cards. It's really good. Truth or Tale. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library, separate them into 2 piles. An opponent chooses one of those piles, put a card from the chosen pile into your hand, and put all of the cards revealed this way on the bottom of your library in any order. Blue Sun Zenith. Draw X cards, shuffle it into its owner's library. It's really, really good. This is the other proxy, Stroke of Genius. It's an instant. It costs 2 and a blue, and it's 2 and a blue and X. Target player draws X cards, and it's instant speed. Thirst for Knowledge. Draw 3 cards and discard 2 unless you discard an artifact. Frantic Search. Draw 2 cards, then choose and discard 2. Untap up to 3 lands. So it's free instant speed card draw. Deep Analysis. Target player draws 2 cards with flashback. For 2, you pay 3 life. Gush. You may return 2 islands you control to their owner's hand instead of paying Gush's mana costs, and you draw 2 cards. Jason's Ingenuity. Instant speed, draw 3. Recurring Insight. Draw cards equal to the number of cards in target opponent's hand, sorry. And it has rebound, so it gets cast again at the beginning of your upkeep. Pongify. Destroy target creature, it can't be regenerated, and they get a 3/3 green ape. Reality Spasm. Tap X permanents or untap X permanents. So it's either a free spell or it's a way to lock down all their blockers. Control Magic. Gain control of target creature. Mind Control. You control enchanted creature. Arcane Melee. Instant or sorceries. Spells cost 2 less to cast. High Tide. Until end of turn, all islands produce an additional blue when tapped for mana. So it doubles your mana. Merchant Scroll is the only tutor I run. Search your library for a blue instant or interrupt. Reveal that card to all players and put it in your hand. Reshuffle your library afterwards. Time Warp. Take an extra turn after this one. Spell Twine. Exile an instant or sorcery from your graveyard and from theirs, and you cast copies of each of those without paying their mana cost. Tunnel Vision. It's a combo with Hinder, the Fate Seal, and the Spell Crumple. Name a card. Target player reveals cards from the top of his or her library until the name card is revealed. If it is, that player puts the rest of the revealed cards into his or her graveyard and puts the name card on top of his or her library. Otherwise, the player reshuffles his or her library. And Time Stretch. Pay 10. Target player takes 2 extra turns after this one. So, yeah, that was my Talrand EDH deck. It's really, really fun. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it is, but I'm just dominating everyone at my local shop. Just because of the fact that I put so many Drakes out and then just fly over their head for game. I've only actually won once with general damage, which was pretty funny, actually. But, yeah, thanks for watching, guys.